the research that I kind of did was heavily based on, I guess, the real Macbeth and, you know, kind of the times in the 11th century and what that was, and I guess how kind of brutal that landscape and world was. And it reminded me a lot of a Western. It reminded me kind of, I don't know, a landscape and an atmosphere that felt much more dangerous than probably what I'd seen in sort of past productions of Macbeth. And then I guess the kind of shadow of war and being able to bring that to screen cinematically, and how Macbeth responds to war or is a product of war, and how that then plays into his ambitions to become king. There's something about Macbeth where it's characters manipulating each other that, I mean, at times I was kind of, you know, watching the verse between Marion and Michael, and also I think Michael and Paddy, that feels kind of like a scene out of Goodfellas. You know, it's kind of characters trying to, you know, manipulate each other in a very, very clever and conniving way, and there's a sort of subtext to all that that is unspoken. And it's really interesting in Macbeth in that there is a kind of secrecy and a kind of tension that kind of happens within the verse that is almost conversational, as opposed to, you know, the kind of artifice of speaking your thoughts continuously. And I think that's very unique to the writing of Macbeth, and why I think it stands out from many of Shakespeare's other plays. I've thought about it, you know, quite a long time watching the play over the years. The idea of two characters trying to fill a void and trying to fill a kind of hole, and whether that's inspired by grief or trauma or whatever, that the idea that the prophecy and the ambition of it is somehow a way of replacing a kind of tragedy. So the sense of Macbeth obviously being a kind of weary soldier suffering from, or the suggestions of kind of post-trauma, we're also kind of suggesting a loss within their lives in terms of potentially a child. That became kind of really interesting in terms of somehow the prophecy and the killing of the king liberating these two characters in terms of them being able to move forward as people and also as a couple. That was a really deliberate thing to shoot a lot of this stuff outside. I mean, I'm doing ADR today, and the challenges of kind of post-sound when you're shooting in environments where you're getting gusts of wind that are blowing off your set, you know, and at the same time Michael's trying to do some very famous verse. You know, there's some pretty serious challenges in that, but what it brings is a kind of groundedness and a reality and a sense of the landscape being connected to the words and to the performance, which I think, you know, you can really feel in the film, is I guess kind of gives it a I don't know, an earthiness that I think is quite unique to the verse, but also to the storytelling. You can feel the effort, hopefully, in the film, and you can feel how the landscape plays an integral role, because I think nature is a huge element in Macbeth. I think the idea that there is the possibility of spirits and the possibility that the landscape is so much greater than we could ever be, and that somehow it kind of orientates and dictates the human spirit and destiny. I think, which is what's playing in the play so much, to be able to put that on screen and have a kind of dialogue with that, it's amazing. I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't Michael. I mean, Michael was kind of really kind of part of the whole reason to do it. You know, I'd met Michael after I'd finished my first film, and he's someone, you know, I think he's you'll get embarrassed, but I do think he's one of the greatest actors of his generation by far. You know, and he was an artist that I desperately kind of wanted to collaborate with. So, you know, when Ian brought me the script and said, you know, Macbeth, and I was like, well, you know, yeah. And then he said, you know, with Michael, and I was just like, yes. Michael and I were really excited and keen on Marion being part of the film. She was a huge, I mean, it was like a dream for her to play Lady Macbeth, and she never ever thought that she would get the opportunity to do that. So I think it was something that she couldn't say no to. But having said that, you know, she was sort of starting from a point that was, you know, I mean, you know, there was a massive mountain in front of her. But, you know, I mean, both Michael and Marion in the time that they've been working on it just put everything into it and did an extraordinary job in getting up to speed. To be able to work with Marion and bring these two together and be on set. Like, I mean, I remember the last sort of scene we had with Michael and Marion. It was, you know, it was a really, really kind of melancholy moment of, wow, this is the last time I'll get to be with these two in a room doing Macbeth. You know, is pretty extraordinary. My favourite part of the whole process is shooting and between action and cut, because I think that is where you can't plan to a point. You know, I think it's where, in terms of what's going to happen there and then and how two actors are going to respond and react to each other, I think that's like jazz. You know, it's just it's going to happen there and then, and that's it, on that Tuesday, in that afternoon, in that rain, right there and then, with everyone being tired or not or happy or whatever. The dynamics happen right there in that moment, and I think that's really, really exciting, and I think you have to kind of embrace it, especially doing something like Shakespeare.